Stand ready for my arrival, worms.
The voice of Conquest echoes. Two doors swing open with a loud whoosh, and heavy boots walk into the room. It goes quiet, and everything stops. We pan out to see that Conquest has stepped foot into a local burger mart. Draped in his Viltrumite uniform, he approaches the long line ahead of him, pushing past everyone like they were but insects and obstacles in his way. He makes it to the front counter. There, he stands behind a woman giving her order to the cashier, who is petrified at the mountain of a man standing behind her.
Excuse me? Young lady, are you alright? Is there something behind me?
She turns around to Conquest, looking down at her, seemingly trying to intimidate this woman with his sheer size. Without even flinching, she looks up and down at Conquest, giving him a look. Her expression is both a mix of frustration, tiredness, and a bit of curiosity. With a sigh, she turns her body around fully to look at Conquest and crosses her arms. With a stern voice, she scolds him.
What? Is your size supposed to intimidate me, mister? 'Cause I assure you, I've seen bigger.
She looks behind Conquest, seeing the amount of injured people behind them that are getting up from where he threw them. Some have broken limbs just by the sheer force of how hard they were thrown. But some are bleeding from places that should not be bleeding. She looks back at Conquest, standing her ground and planting her feet in front of him. He approaches, attempting to push her aside like the others.
It would be smart of you to move out of my way, woman. I'm curious what these earthly establishments have as sustenance. Or do you want to resist? I beg of you, please resist.
Without a second thought, she gets in his face and puts her fists on her hips. She doesn't seem to be backing down at all. In fact, the people in the burger mart start to get up out of their chairs and leave to dodge what they can assume is going to be another super fight. You never know when the Guardians or some random super might show up and handle a threat much bigger than they thought. The cashier of this locally owned branch of Burger Mart peeks their head from behind a register and tries to speak to the woman.
Mr. O'Connor's, ma'am, it's really fine. I think you should just step aside for the gentleman.
Horse shit, Jordan. I know a bully when I see one.
A bully? That's a good one. Lady, bully's an understatement. You have no idea what...
I could not give lesser of a fuck if you were the president of the Andromeda Galaxy or whatever these supers want to call it nowadays. A bully is a goddamn bully. Now, I don't know how your people over at Mars treat us humans, but around here, we treat our people with respect, damn it!
Gertrude looks at Conquest's adornments and notices that he dressed the same way as another superhero once did before they got their super suit.
Say, I know that suit. Yeah, Omni-Man used to wear one of these absurdly over-designed bathrobes. Loincloth and everything. I assume you two are related, but considering how rude you are compared to that man, I'd say you're just an obsessed fanboy who does... what do the kids call it nowadays? Oh yeah, cosplay!
Conquest is stunned. He has never seen an insignificant being talk to a Viltrumite like this before, especially someone who's half his size. He stands back upright and balls his fist as if getting ready to strike this woman down.
Wow. Oh, so you're gonna hit me, big man. Oh, I'd wish you do. I'd wish you do. Please.
The courage this woman displays, it intrigues him. This woman's ferocity, it's magnetizing.
See what happens if you bring that oversized hammer down, big boy.
Gertrude unholsters a GDA-issued laser pistol and points it under Conquest's chin. With a smirk of acknowledgement, Conquest calms down and relaxes his fist. He gives Gertrude an intrigued smile.
I must say, Mrs. O'Connors, was it? I admire your fighting spirit. May it have been in different circumstances. I would ask for your hand in courtship.
What the hell does that...
Before Gertrude could say anything else, a loud boom can be heard from outside. As the door swings open once more, walking into the Burger Mart with his red cape flapping in the wind. Omni-Man puts his hand on Conquest's shoulder, pulling him to the side, glaring at him. He is not pleased with how Conquest is acting, especially with what is at stake.
You'll have to forgive my friend here, ma'am. He's not quite accustomed to this planet yet. Here, let me pay for your food.
A few minutes later, after she leaves the Burger Mart, Omni-Man and Conquest hover over the city. Before Conquest could even get a word out, he gets rocked by Omni-Man. The punch caught him so off guard that he thought Nolan was looking for a proper fight, a sparring match. I mean, it's been a while since he's found a worthy fight on this planet. So, zipping to Nolan with full intent of fighting him head on, he stopped in his tracks. Nolan gestures to Conquest to stop as the shockwave from the sudden halt zooms through the air.
What are you thinking? Are you really this stupid? Or are you deliberately sabotaging our mission?
Your mission, Nolan. You were assigned to infiltrate this planet and assess if these things really are a genetic match to us. I was sent here with you, because if your mission goes south, I get the green light to rip this planet in half.
Nolan hits him again, this time much harder than the last time. Conquest liked that. He liked that really much. He gets excited and throws a massive punch towards Nolan, but he dodges with ease. Conquest's raw power was immense. The pure destructive power this man had could level planets just by flicking his finger. But alas, brute strength is no match for the mind and speed of a master tactician. Nolan zips around as Conquest tries to get a hold of him, but he gets chopped at the back of the neck, stunning him momentarily.
You can fly back to Viltrum yourself and tell the Grand Regent that you failed your mission if you can't act the part, mutt.
Conquest rubs the back of his neck and floats up straight. He turns around and faces Nolan, trying to hold back his balled-up fist.
Need I remind you? This is the closest we will ever get to restoring our numbers. Our race cannot afford more casualties. So either you play the part, Carl, or you can get the fuck off my planet before I demolish you.
The air is tense. Both men hover over the city as Conquest calms down. Finally, relieved that Conquest can finally play the role, he dismisses him as both of them go the opposite direction. Later in the evening, Conquest arrives at a late-night bar looking for something to drink. Maybe socialize a little. After all, if he's going to blend in, he might as well try and talk to the locals. He raises his hand to call for the bartender, and he's greeted by a very, very familiar face. Her brown and silver hair glisten in the dim light of the bar, with her cleaning a glass. She finally looks over to him and sees that it's the same guy from earlier that day. She sighs at the sight of him and finally approaches.
What do you want?
Well, I'll be the looker from that food place. What's a woman like you working at a bar? With scars like those, I'd imagine you'd be some kind of soldier of some sort.
If you're here just to fuck around, you're gonna find out how I got them. Why don't you run off out of here with your friends in capes?
Gertrude does not let up. She makes sure that Conquest knows that his attitude is not going to slide. She lets him know that even outside of the loincloths, if he keeps acting like a total dick, no one is going to like him. Conquest drops the act a little. He sighs, and his expression goes from entertained to somber. He sits properly on the bar stool and rests his arms on the long bar table. He relaxes for the first time since he's touched down on Earth. He hesitates a little, but he finally finds the strength to tell Gertrude.
I apologize. It's just, I don't have many friends outside of... Now that I think about it, I don't have any at all. Back where I'm from, they treat me more of a dog. A rabid hound to let loose every once in a while. I get my playground and they don't let rabid dogs in to eat with the others. You wouldn't. All of my old friends back home are either dead or a skull in a throne room. Couldn't talk to them. Couldn't see them. Couldn't even save them. It does things to a man. I'm sorry I'm dropping all this on you. It's just... I really don't have anyone to talk to.
Gertrude goes from weirded out by this man to realizing what he actually is. This isn't some intergalactic asshole who thinks the world revolves around him. This is a soldier whose world used him as a weapon. She's had first-hand experience with these kinds of cases. She looks at Conquest through a new lens and decides to push through with the situation differently.
Look at me, spilling at the slightest crack. I didn't mean to dump all this on you. Thanks for listening.
Conquest gets off his bar stool, only to be stopped by Gertrude's callous hand pulling at his massive forearm.
Never got your name, you big oaf. What's your name again?
Her tone isn't sharp, and it's no longer laced with malice anymore. It's warm, comforting, inviting even. Conquest pauses. Before saying his name, pronounced in Earth's language as a dialect.
Conquest.
That's the name they gave you? Seriously?
Disbelief pours in every word. She waits for him to give an actual name, but she sees that Conquest isn't joking.
Come here.
She puts down the cloth that she was holding and leans over the bar, taking him by the face. She runs her fingers through what's left of his hair and feels his scar. Conquest looks up from his outpour and sees Gertrude so close to his face. A warmth never felt before seizes his chest. He's never had anyone approach him without any orders, let alone a female touch his face. This warmth creeps up across his face. Now, it's hard to keep his eyes off of hers. No, that's wrong. It's hard not to stare into her eyes now.
Carl.
He blinks.
What?
She smiles to herself, set on her decision.
You look like a Carl. Yeah, guess you're Carl now.
She then slaps him on both of his cheeks slightly, chuckling at the thought of giving a grown man a name. Conquest. No. Carl smiles at the gesture. Strung along with her laughter, they start telling stories to each other. Stories about their past and who they really are. Turns out, Gertrude served under the Marines for the better part of 25 years. She fought in one of the world wars and retired from combat at 45. She admits the things that she's not proud of and the hefty price she pays for them, pointing to her lip scar and to the fake eye. Carl said he's much tougher than he looks, losing his arm and eye to an alien race that could rip Viltrumites in half.
See, Carl? That just proves Viltrumites are strong, but none of you are.
The life support machine beeps, echoing through the hallways as Uncle Carl opens his eyes. He wakes up to Gertrude sleeping by his bedside with the grandkids. Mark and Debbie come back with some food. Seeing Carl finally awake, Gertrude wakes up to him smiling at her, holding her hand with his one good arm.
Hey, honeybee. Told you I was stronger than him.
The room erupts in laughter as they all dogpile Carl with hugs. Gertrude tells him that the doctor said he lost a lot of blood, but his body was healing so fast they barely had time to put any stitches to suture his wound. The grandkids are just happy that their grandpa is alright, but Mark looks more worried than anything. Carl sits up from his bed, telling Mark that he knows what he wants to ask him. Debbie is hesitant at first, but she builds up enough courage to ask Carl what happened to Nolan.
Gigi, I'm sorry to bring this up so early after he's just woken up, but I have to ask. Why did Nolan try to kill the Guardians? Is he being controlled?
Carl looks at them with eyes that did not know how to put the right words together. I mean, how was he gonna tell them? Mark's father, Debbie's husband, tried to kill their closest friends. How is a man supposed to tell his friends' family they were supposed to take over the planet? Before he can get a word out, Gertrude takes his hand and rests hers on his face. They look at each other as she gives him a nod of approval. They deserve to know the truth. Carl takes a deep breath and finally tells Mark and Debbie the truth. The whole truth.
We're called Viltrumites, from the Viltrum Empire, based on the planet of Viltrum. Tasked to look for genetic matches around the universe to keep our race alive. Nolan married you, then conceived Mark as an experiment of whether humans and Viltrumite genetics can match.
Debbie and Mark take a step back from the utter shock that just hit them. All this time, Nolan was only here to procreate? Use Debbie as a concubine for a repopulation program? And Mark was made out of duty. He's a test subject, patient 0, the first trial to an experiment that was supposed to be a universal breeding program. Debbie sits down trying to process everything, and Mark can barely move from the information that he has received.
Not anymore. I don't want to be a monster anymore. This planet, it changed me.
What the fuck would that be? Uncle Carl? What the fuck? Uncle Carl, please explain to me. Explain to me what changed your fucking mind. What did Viltrum not have that made you and my dad?
Love.
Mark stops mid-sentence. His rage starts to simmer as the words hit hard.
Son, on Viltrum, love and compassion were signs of weakness. We thought it made us soft. We thought it would be the downfall of the Viltrum Empire if we let ourselves stoop to those levels. But we were wrong, Mark. Love and compassion aren't our weakness, it's our strength. And the more we felt it, the stronger we got. I know you and your mother won't be able to forgive us for what our mission was. But I need you to know, Mark, your father and your mother love you very much.
Carl looks down in sorrow as Gertrude rests her hand on his shoulder. Mark and Debbie look at her, and she nods in acknowledgement. She knew. He told her everything on the day of their wedding. Alarmed to find out Gertrude knew about this the entire time the families were together staggers both of them. They're not sure if they want to be in this room at all. Especially Mark. But Debbie knows a lie when she sees it. And this was not one of them. She believes in redemption more than anyone. So, She gets up from her seat and approaches this man she once called Uncle Carl. As far as she's concerned, Conquest is dead. All she sees is the man that saved her husband from a past he could not outrun. And for that, she thanks him. But before he can utter a single word, he's embraced by the biggest hug he has ever received. Debbie tries to keep her composure, but she slowly breaks down in tears. Thanking Carl for what he did for them, he hugs her back, trying to not break into tears himself.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for everything.
But then he looks at Mark. He still seems conflicted, but not quite sure how to feel about it. Carl lets out his hand, calling to Mark with it. Mark tries to keep a straight face, but a tear runs down his face and he leaves the room. Carl is disappointed, but he knows the kid has a lot to process, especially at that age. Mark hovers outside the hospital with his phone in his ear. Someone is on the other end, and they pick up.
Mark? Thank God, finally! Is your uncle and dad all right? How are things looking over there? God, I hope
They're fine, Amber. It's just, it was a really bad accident. Uncle Carl's awake. He's recovering, but Dad, he's... Mark stops. He tries to get a grip on how he's feeling, but he just can't get a hold of himself. Amber, there's something I need to... A loud explosion is heard from about a few blocks down as a car goes flying. He can hear people scream and see smoke overhead. Something is happening, and he needs to respond.
I heard a car drive by. What's going on? Mark?
Shit! I need to go, Amber. I'll call you back. Before she could say anything else, Mark hangs up the phone and zooms toward the danger. Over a densely populated area, an army of Flaxons flood out of the portal. But these Flaxons are different from the ones we know. The first time Mark ever fought the Flaxons in the main universe, they aged rapidly and died as soon as they stepped on Earth. But these Flaxons are seasoned. Troop carriers, tanks, mecha suits, and drones all flood out of the portal, destroying everything in their wake. Kidnapping every civilian in sight, they're thwarted by a red blur. One by one, the Flaxon foot soldiers explode as the red blur runs them over. Red Rush stops in his tracks, shaking off every ounce of blood on his supersuit. The Guardians have arrived to halt the flooding of the Flaxons through the portal, as the team seem to be arriving with the Guardians as well as Hopus on evac and defense. It seems the merger pushed through after all. The Guardians hold back the heavy hitters as much as they can, but a massive Flaxon with the biggest power suit walks out of the portal. Aquarius pushes it back with his water cannon, but it squishes him under this thing's massive boots. The fish swam too close to the shores, I suppose. Red Rush was right there. He was right there. But the fastest man alive just wasn't fast enough. This massive Flaxen tries to go after Red Rush that is currently staring into nothingness. But before he could get turned into a puddle of his own blood, the Immortal tackles Pieter out of the way as Warmman throws a massive mace at this thing's face. Rex comes in with some of his explosives to distract this massive Flaxen, while the Immortal snaps Red Rush out of the 1,000-yard stare. The smoke from Rex's explosions clear as he's grabbed by this massive alien. Getting bear-hugged in an attempt to crush him, he screams out for help, but all of the other heroes are either too busy or not fast enough.
Guys, a little help here. Big Bear's got me.
Reaching out to this thing's face, trying something out, a sonic boom erupts through the crowd as this alien is hit square in the jaw, dislocating it completely, dropping Rex onto the pavement. Mark arrives on the scene, hovering over the Guardians and the team.
Dude, what gives? I had that.
Shut the fuck up and lock in! We're being invaded! Before Mark could finish his sentence, he swatted out of the air into a nearby building. It comes crumbling down as Mark gains his bearings again and attempts to stop this building from falling onto the street. He's able to catch it mid-air, and the team are able to respond in time to evacuate the people underneath the building. But the people from inside begin to fall out of the windows. Mark wants to save them as much as he can, but if he lets go, this thing will kill everyone on the ground. As the bodies fall, they are caught by the Immortal and Robot's drones. A pink slide is constructed by Adam Eve underneath Mark that leads directly into Darkwing's troop carrier. Everyone seems to be loaded up and all accounted for in the carrier. Except they aren't. One old lady and her grandkids are running towards the rest of the people evacuated in the shuttles. But behind her, these massive tanks aim at all of the pods containing all of the civilians. They aim at the shuttles, but two of them get destroyed by the Immortal and Warwoman alongside Martian Man and Green Ghost. Rex tries to run towards the last tank to blow it up, but he's too slow. The tank fires into the last shuttle as the explosion is visible for everyone. The heroes freeze. They stop in their tracks and look back at what had happened to the shuttle. From the smoke, a blue flannel flaps in the wind. Carl emerges from the smoke and his white shirt burning off. The Guardians and team are in shock as Eve creates a bubble around the building that Mark is holding up. Swinging it down to the Flaxen army, most of them are dispatched this way, and the remaining Flaxens are sent in retreat at the sight of Carl. Before their leader can retreat back into the portal, he is then grabbed by the throat by Carl. Squeezing ever so slightly, Mark looks up to his Grunkle. Grunkle Carl?
Get some rest, nephew. Let me play.
No, Grunkle Carl, wait!
Your uncle's the Liberator?
You guys caught me on a bad spot today. Gertrude wants me back before supper. Otherwise, we're all dead. You and me both. No one wants my Gigi angry. Trust me. So let's not waste time. I'll show you firsthand what Conquest looks like.
He exhales in disappointment as he hits the showers much longer than usual. Flaxen blood doesn't wash easily. The hot water runs down Carl's body like a downpour in a stormy night. He dries off in the shower and gets dressed in their room. Before walking out, he hears a whisper. A voice he has not heard in a long time, but it never left him.
Conquest.
He looks over to the voice, seeing a projection of himself in the mirror as his Viltrumite self. Conquest smirks at him and his weakness.
You look as soft as cotton, Scarface.
He chuckles at Carl, who only stares at him blankly. He looks over to their bedside as the camera pans down to under it.
How's settling in a wooden box full of breakable toys? It gets your blood boiling, doesn't it?
Conquest's wicked tone drips with coldness. Carl grits his teeth, giving him a glare that could freeze any Viltrumite in his place. Any. Just not Conquest.
Ain't that nice? Silent treatment, is it, Grandpa Carl? Alright then, if you say so.
Carl raises his clenched, trembling fists, ready to punch the reflection of Conquest across the mirror. Only to be interrupted by a notification on his phone.
Get out of my head.
He scoffs and huffs, peeling his gaze off the mirror. Picking up his phone to check, it's a text from his granddaughter, Jane. At Aunt Debbie's. Text when you get back. Without a second thought, he flies off to Mark and Debbie's. Arriving at the Grayson's household, he's greeted and embraced by his family. Mark told them he went through a portal before it closed. They weren't sure if he'd be back anytime soon, but they for damn sure knew he'd make it back.
It's gonna take a lot more than a different alien race to put down old Grandpa Carl.
The family laughs along with their grandpa as Carl looks around.
Sorry I'm late. Where's...
He asks where Mark is, and Debbie tells him that he's in his room. Heading up to his room, Mark sits by his bedside with his mask in his hand. He sees that his grungle Carl is back from the fight, and before his uncle could say anything, he super speeds over to him and embraces his uncle. He breaks down into tears and tells his uncle he's sorry. He just didn't know how to react, and all the information that was given to him, he let his emotions get the better of him. He wasn't sure if he was gonna come back or how long it would take for him to do so.
You're alright, boy. You're alright. My past isn't exactly the cleanest record to play. I'm here now, aren't I?
They sit down on Mark's bed and they have a conversation about Viltrum.
When I was Conquest, I used to think power was everything. If you had the power to take something, then just take it. Now, I believe in something very, very different. With great power comes great responsibility.
He tells Mark that his past does not define who they are. It's what they do to make up for it. So to make things right to Mark, he shows him a file from the GDA. Apparently, the teen team are looking for new recruits. On the day of the tryouts, Mark looks around the selection of heroes and thinks that this would be a walk in a park. Not looking where he's going, he bumps into someone with a loud clank. He apologizes for not looking where he's going, and the man in the metal suit says it's alright, because he kinda was dozing off with all robots yapping. Mark looks back and notices that, yeah, Robot does seem to be yapping a lot. They laugh as Mark offers his hand and reintroduces himself as Invincible. This man takes the offer and shakes it, introducing himself as Tech Jacket.